I'm Robin Edman. I'm the Chief Executive of the Swedish Industrial Design Foundation. We're the organizers today. And it is surprising, it is pleasing, it is fantastic to see this amount of people here. And the most amazing thing is that I'm seeing so many people that we've never seen before. Truly, truly fantastic, which is great. We have about 150 people here. And there are a few people that we're still expecting, and they will show up, but we have a couple of extra seats as well for that. So, before we get into the program as such, I would like to tell you a little bit about our organization. About 25 years ago, when we were founded, there was a big gap in the market. A gap between the buyers and the gap between the sellers of design. Buyers and sellers. Who would be the buyers? The buyers would be usually the SMEs, the small manufacturing companies, and the sellers would be the industrial designers, hence our name, 25 years ago. Now there's still a gap in the market, but we have a lot more buyers, we have a lot more sellers, and we have a design perspective, a scope that has broadened immensely. So it ranges from way back when, the 1852 ornate columns of the Crystal Palace, to services that are designed today in the healthcare sector or designing a destination. And as you can see, this scope also leaves us to believe that there's a need for a lot bigger understanding for what design can do for our society. And that's why we're here today. So anyway, 25 years ago when we started, and this gap was focused on, we now, 25 years later, can see that this gap is still something that we need to work on. Yet the gap is very, very different. Because the ones at that time that were looking at what was needed are pretty much taken care of today. We know that industry needs design. We know that that is something that functions. But what we do not know, and what we need to find out, and what you all are here today to talk about, is to see where design can actually make a difference in the future. And when I say future, that has already started. But where can we make that difference? So let's look at why we as an organization want to do this and what drives us. The design process. It starts with needs, and then ideas are generated, and then there's a development phase, and then there's an implementation phase, and then it goes around, and it goes around, and it goes around. It could be short cycle or long cycle. And then within each one of these different phases, there's a looping process. Ideas are looped, prototypes are looped, and that is really what is part of the whole design process. To look at all these different things from many, many different angles and to try them out as you go forward. To visualize, to look at the micro, to look at the macro picture, to involve the users, always involve the users, and then be able to do this together so that you get this common view. And once you have this common view of something, then you can start planning for the next phase again. So that is really what it's all about. Now, our organization is here to gather and spread relevant information, to work with research, but also to create networks and to drive these networks so that many, many people can get involved. And many of you here today are parts of these networks. And it's fantastic to see you all here in one place. Now, what we also do, and pretty much as a driver through the entire organization, is that we work with 4 I's. The first one is to identify. Identify who these people are out there, who these organizations are. Which ones could be connected? Where can they benefit from each other? The next one after identify is inspire. How can we inspire? How can you inspire these people on this side? How can you inspire these people on this side, and vice versa? Because you have something over here that they don't have, and you have something over there that they don't have. So the inspiration goes a lot of different ways. And then once we've gotten through the inspire phase, it is the initiate phase. Initiate activities. Initiate things that will happen. And then, of course, at the end, the implementation. And most of what is done is implemented in organizations far away from us. And when I say far away from us, is that it's not within our own organization. and they're all across the country. So implementation happens where it's needed, there and then, and with the users. Now, we started 25 years ago, and I've been in this business for a long time. And things haven't changed as rapidly as they're doing now. So I guess I'm going to use an old phrase, and that is that the future isn't what it used to be. What you thought the future was 5 years ago. Let me give you an example. When was the iPhone introduced? Anybody? 2007. Has it changed anybody's life? No. Has it made your life easier? Has smartphones changed your life? Have things changed? Now, this is only 8 years ago. So a lot of things have changed, and what was then new is obsolete today because things have progressed. So the future is definitely not what it used to be. Definitely not. So why are we organizing a day like this? We want to see change. We want to see massive change, and we want to see things that change for a lot of people's lives. And we believe that you are the ones that will be able to do that. I will read from the dictionary what policy actually is, because a lot of people feel that policy is something that is strange, it is something they cannot connect to, it is something that is at a level where I don't understand, and I'd like to bring that down to something that is very, very simple and very easy. And one interpretation in the dictionary says this, I'm going to read straight off. A plan or course of action intended to influence and determine decisions, actions, and other matters. Now, if you add a few words to that, you'll get a plan or course of action as a government, political party, or a business intended to influence and determine decisions, actions, and other matters such as a policy on health, regional development, foreign or domestic policies, or a company's internal policy. So it's really just something that you decide that you want to do, you put it down, write it down, and you make it happen. It's not very complicated. It doesn't always have to do with politicians. It doesn't have to do with high level. You can have policies that are very, very regional and local that happen here and now where you are. So don't believe that policy is something that is for other people. It's for all of us. And it's here and now. But we also need to look at the big changes around us, the grand challenges, demographics, our environment, energy, urbanization, migration. All these things will affect what we do and what you do. And there was a time when we thought that a national design policy would solve these problems. I think we've gotten a little bit smarter in saying that a policy that includes design, that is, all policies, is even better. But then at the highest level, the one we're talking about today is where we use design to create policy. How can we use the design process to actually create these changes that we're looking for to create a better future? That's what we're here to talk about today. And we see that there are a lot of people around the world that are trying this. And what better way than to prototype it? You test it, you prototype it before you launch these policies, no matter if it's a government or if it's a local policy. But actually use design to create it and test it before it's launched to the general public or internally in an organization to involve the users. Always involve the users. And we know that governments across the globe, the EU Commission, strongly believe that design has something that can actually improve people's lives. There's something there that we need to work with, something that we can actually take to the next step to create that future that we want. You know that. We know that. And the intent is, of course, to make that something that everybody can benefit from. So we need to start at two levels, one at the top and one at the bottom, and then make these converge. Unleash the power in every single level and make them converge in the right direction. So we're going to talk about these opportunities today. We have some very, very prominent and excellent speakers. One of the reasons I'm standing here speaking English is because we have some foreign guests. The other is, of course, that we have some people in the audience that speak English. Most of the program today is going to be in Swedish. I'm going to do my absolute best to translate to the people that want to. And I would encourage you, if you're sitting next to somebody that speaks English, to be a helping hand. At least give them some hints what somebody's talking about on stage. But we will be hearing things as how we can involve our citizens, how we will get more value for money and, of course, for our society, better decision-making and societal change, new technology in the care of elder, cross-European use of design and policy, and even how design can be used to try to increase the population in a small village in the northern part of Sweden. So, having said all that, with no further ado, I wish you once again a very, very warm welcome here to Stockholm, both you live here and for the recorded audience that will be looking at this later on. And I would like to welcome the two guides that will take you through the day, Eva-Karin Anderman and Helena Karlberg, up on stage, and give them a very, very warm hand.